his uncle had died and his father had inherited the workshop and the business. There's this motorbike with a box on the side. It's yours if you want it.
Everybody what worked there, we worked there for years, most of us did. And yeah, as a gaffer went, Bob, he wasn't second to none, you couldn't wish for anybody better, he was the best. Very, very good.
Bob was interested in the work and he was interested in craftsmanship. And Bob used to say, now go out and show the trade. Wherever you go, whatever you do, show the trade. And that's a big thing to say, isn't it?
Having been born in 12 Church Street Cottage, I don't really remember much till I was probably 3 or 4, and at that time the office was in the house, and I remember making a nuisance of myself with Millie and Madeline when they were trying to work, and I was specifically told I wasn't to interrupt them. So if I heard my dad coming, I'd hide under their desk. They'd got a knee hole that I would hide in.
While it was daylight, for many years, Bob was in the workshop working. When the kids were born, and if I wanted to go to a meeting, as long as they were in bed, he would be in the workshop and he would hear them if they cried, and I could go to the meetings.
Probably the most memorable things at Woodhead's in my last few years there was always working at Clumber Park and restoring, taking gables down and all fancy shaped gables.
Woodheads have always had a very good name, So, we never used to advertise at all.
David took over. He'd got different ideas to Bob. Bob was, he was started doing small jobs, individual houses and things like that. But then David came along and he started Woodhead Close, the houses in the village. It'll always be there because it's called Woodhead Close. So Woodheads will always be in the village, won't they?
The November before Bob died, he made me a director of the company. From there on, my life changed dramatic because it was paperwork then instead of woodwork.
I think with being a family business, it's easier to get the values across as being our own values rather than just some corporate tool that's in fashion.
They come back to us because we give them what they value. We give them not only a job done well, on time and within budget, because most other competitors of ours can do that. We give them an experience.
On the day, we've got the photo of the chap, and he said he'd had a miserable day. It was miserable weather. He'd been around looking at these projects that had been entered for it. And he said, I've had a right miserable day looking at jobs with this, that and other. He says, then I got to Nigel Walton's and we opened the doors and I walked in and he was amazed at what he saw. You know, all the timber work over the pool, everything that had been done. They didn't know that particular day whether we were first, second or third. And anyway, we went up there and we'd got the first prize.
Yeah, I was the first site manager to win a national site award with the Considerate Constructors. It's about how considerate you are, and that's in your appearance, image, to the workforce, to the community. Well, I remember feeling at the time I was on such a high because I'd won a national award for the company, and it just made me feel great. And of course, you go on to your next job and your next job and you want to do it again.
Good to Gold, the name came from we wanted to take our employees and supply chain on a journey going from a good supply chain to what we call a gold supply chain. We actually ran 35 workshops for I think 87 companies that were actually involved in it. But what we found was, because a lot of our supply chain are family-owned businesses like ourselves, we had the next generation coming to these, so they could actually go back and work in their businesses that they one day would take over with some really useful tools to help them develop.
More recently, the turning point's been the heritage work that, particularly at Lincoln Castle, where we were on site for 3 years, that's really put us on the map as a serious heritage contractor nationally. People genuinely do say, we want Woodheads. People are looking for more than price, and I think we've demonstrated time and again that we are about more than price.
Working in partnership wasn't, I suppose, alien to Woodhead's culture. In reality, it wasn't called that, but for decades, they worked very closely with their customers, been very customer focused, and did have lots of what they wouldn't call partnerships, but partnerships with people like the National Trust, and then, you know, a real pivotal one for 20 odd years working with Centre Parks. Much of that work wasn't competitive tender, it was negotiated on a partnership basis.
And I think with my time working in London, I brought something to a family business that was just a bigger horizon. And I think with my son coming in now, he will bring something to the business that isn't there from my perspective. So who knows what the future might bring. But I think there is a progression within the family of just widening the horizons, just expanding the view, just seeing the bigger picture.